years, the NFL, we've gone from thinking wide receivers, are they that valuable, to they're the most valuable thing except for quarterbacks. And all the good teams know it. All the smart front offices. Buffalo just extended Stefon Diggs' contract. Bucks did the same to Chris Godwin. Rams went and got Allen Robinson. The Bengals drafted Jamar Chase, even though they had two good receivers, over an offensive lineman and got to the Super Bowl. So the Bengals, the Rams, the Bucks, the Bills, the Chiefs. Well, what about Tyreek Hill? They've already reloaded. They're going to be fine. Two franchises, though, are very principled. And at times, I would argue, kind of rigid. The Packers and the Patriots. One has the best coach. One, people think, has the best quarterback. And in 3 years since the league has changed, they have a combined 2 playoff wins. 2. In that same time, Kansas City has 7. Rams 5, Bucks 5, and they're going to keep adding to that total. New England will not win a playoff game this year. And Green Bay, with this wide receiving core, will not win their division this year. In my opinion, will not win a playoff game. I doubt it very highly. But the Bills really know what they're doing, and so do the Bucks, and so do the Chiefs, and so do the Rams. These are very good front offices. Who's the GM of the Patriots? Or do they have one now? Or is Bill running it? Who's the owner of the Packers? Oh, they don't have one. It's going to be very interesting. Things change really fast in all of our lives. Like things change. Good relationship turns sour fast. Lakers win the championship. Now, arguably, biggest mess in the league. The Knicks were great last year. Now, rebuild again. Like, stuff happens fast, right? Wide receivers are really valuable. We have massive rule changes. You can't hit anybody, especially receivers and quarterbacks. We also have a cultural change. And that is, if you look at high school football recruiting, like in Los Angeles, for example, I'll just use LA because I follow high school football recruiting, but very closely in Los Angeles. If you go to the top 100 players in Los Angeles or the top 50, like 25 are receivers and quarterbacks. That's where all the money's at. NFL's not paying running backs anymore. You don't get a second contract in most instances. Kids see that. They're paying edge rushers, wide receivers, and quarterbacks, and the kids are like, I'm not going to get hit every day at practice and not get paid. And so congratulations to the Bills, who have a great, dominant number one receivers. The Patriots don't. They have a bunch of 2s and 3s, and the Packers don't have anything. They have a 4. But, Patriots and the Packers, best coach and everybody's pick for the best quarterback, last 3 years, as the world's changed, 2 playoff wins. And I think my takeaway is both of them have had a really bad, very bleak offseason. All right. Rick Bucher is
the Herdline News.
The draft is approaching. It's not a strong quarterback draft. It's not a strong top star draft, which kind of actually gives me a little suspicion.
What?
I don't know. I feel like all these players are hearing how this isn't really a good draft, and
no, it's true.
Yeah, a lot of underdog mentality coming out of this draft.
No, that's very true. Is when you're told, you're part of a terrible draft. It's amazing. There's no attitude in this draft.
Right.
I mean, there's no attitude. Everybody feels like they're getting dumped on.
Yeah, right. Even the number one pick's going to be like, oh, well, I was doubted. I was part of that draft. That didn't matter. Well, Kenny Pickett is a quarterback that is expected to be taken pretty high in the draft, and he thinks he will be the top quarterback taken this year.
I'm a mobile guy that came in a West Coast pro-style system. I started a program that was 5-7 the first year I was in it. Mm-hmm. We left as ACC champions, 11-2. So I know how to win. I know the process it takes to get there. It's never an easy thing, and I'll make that transition. I feel like faster in the NFL now because of that experience, and I know how to go about my business as a pro, kind of being an older guy. I think that's at the end of the day. That's what coming out of the position. It's like, can you win? Do you know how to handle all the things that it takes to be a quarterback? And I definitely do. So I think I am QB1.
Well, the good news, Joey, he probably won't go in the top 5, meaning there's a chance he goes to a reasonably stable franchise.
Well, yes. I mean, when it comes to quarterbacks, where you end up is a huge part of your, at least early success in the league. Now, we have seen some talents be able to rise above a dysfunctional organization or elevate a team that isn't that great. But at one point or another, moves have to be made if they're going to end up having a long, successful career. So you're right. Now, the Saints recently grabbed a second-round pick, so they could potentially jump ahead of the Panthers and draft Pickett. It's an interesting draft when it comes to the quarterbacks, because while everyone is looking for a franchise quarterback, this is a draft that is light on the high-end quarterbacks. And the top of the draft kind of has a lot of teams that have either their franchise quarterback or a young quarterback that they have just recently drafted.
Yeah, there's not a lot of space now.
Right. So there's really only two teams that we think are truly in the conversation at the top of the level of drafting a quarterback, which would be the Panthers and the Seahawks, because they're the only ones that don't have starting quarterbacks.
Well,
right
Atlanta,
now.
throw Atlanta in there.
Well, yes, but Atlanta did acquire Marcus Mariota, so they don't necessarily have to.
Right.
The Seahawks don't have to, and the Panthers don't have to, but we know that what Drew Lock is, despite people caping up for him.
The Seahawks will be interesting. If they did trade DK Metcalf, you'd give your rookie quarterback a bad O-line, no star receiver, and second-tier backs. Like, there's a real argument to be made that Seattle does one or two things well. One of them is DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. I'd be careful about moving him because
I don't wish that Seahawks situation on any young quarterback.
That's bad.
Now, strategically, I think if they went with Drew Lock this year, it could be one of those bridge years, but they're really kind of fake tanking. I really can't believe that Pete Carroll's in a situation like that to begin with, but they are. So it'll be an interesting draft for that reason. I suspect we won't see a lot of movement, but the drafts that we're like, there's going to be lots of trades, there usually aren't, and this one could surprise everybody. But it's between him and Malik Willis at the top of the draft when it comes to quarterbacks, and it'll be interesting to see where they end up. So the Packers have a huge void to fill with Davante Adams. They've yet to make any moves to fill that position, but former Packer Leroy Butler tweeted yesterday he thinks the team might be making a move soon. He said, "Make no mistake about it, the Packers are exploring every option to replace 17. It might be someone who you would never guess that was available."
Well, it's interesting because that does feel like the DK Metcalf situation.
But DK Metcalf has kind of been in the conversation, so never guessing that they would be available.
Well, Deebo Samuel just signed with the Niners. Stefon Diggs just signed.
So fans are speculating he could be referring to DeAndre Hopkins or Michael Thomas.
I'm kind of cooling on Michael Thomas. DeAndre Hopkins is amazing.
Yeah, I don't know why DeAndre Hopkins would leave.
Yeah, neither do I. I like that offense. I like my offensive coach. I like living in Arizona more than Green Bay. I wouldn't want to move.
Now there's Julio Jones.
That ship has sailed.
There's Odell. There's Jarvis Landry.
Those are. I would take Jarvis. But
I think Jarvis would do well with.
Yeah, but he's a 2. He's a really great 2. He's Robert Woods.
We have seen Aaron Rodgers elevate receivers before, and Jarvis is good and consistent. So
let me ask you this: Is that true? So Jordy Nelson, people think Aaron elevated him, but there's an argument to be made. He was a good prospect and a good player. Greg Jennings was a great prospect and a good player. Donald Driver was a good prospect and a good player. Davante Adams, we know now. I mean, does anybody think he's going to go to the Raiders and disappear?
No.
I'm not saying Aaron doesn't connect with wide receivers. I don't know if he's like Brady. Everybody that left Brady went and disappeared. I don't think Davante Adams is going to disappear. The tight end.
Oh no, I think Davante Adams is a different.
Jared Cook
different
left
class.
him. He did fine. Like Brady people leave Brady and they disappear. I don't know if that's the case with Aaron. I think he's just really talented. Aaron's really talented. Does he elevate receivers? He ghosts them. That I know.
Well, they do need to try and replace Davante Adams. I don't think that there is a replacement for. Now, if they get a DeAndre Hopkins, obviously that's a different situation, but I don't believe that will happen. I mean, Davante Adams is the best receiver in the league, so I don't think there is a replacement for him. And, of course, the relationship that he had with him is something different as well. The trust that he had with him is something you have to replace also. So Joel Embiid has been putting on a show the last few games. He finished with 45 points and 13 rebounds in the Sixers' 131-122 win over the Pacers. He shot 18 for 30 in the game, including a three-point shot at the buzzer to finish the first half. So he's averaging 30.4 points per game, which puts him ahead of LeBron as the scoring leader, who is averaging 30.3. He is LeBron likely to sit out the rest of the season with the Lakers missing the play-in tournament. So it will be interesting to see if LeBron plays for the rest of the season, because that would be very obvious that that's what he's playing for, which I don't think would be a very good look. But this is helping Embiid's MVP argument, who I believe is the MVP. He currently has the second best odds on Fox Bet at plus 225. Nikola Jokic still inexplicably to me has the best odds.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with Embiid or Giannis. Jokic has statistical edges, but I still contend that the best player on any given night is KD, and Giannis is the most valuable player because he's so great on both ends of the floor, and he's also always available.
I think Embiid has been the most consistent and has had to overcome the most this year.
Yeah. It wouldn't bother me. I
think he's the MVP. I think Nikola Jokic's team is not high enough in the Western Conference to be
That's fair.
the MVP this year.
Good stuff, Joy, with the news.
Well, that's the news.
And thanks for stopping by.